Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another fantastic episode of The Left Wing. I am TJ Whitehead, powers taken, not given, joined as always by expert in all things dealing with African American culture, John Cooper Paz of Counterpoint Politics. How are you doing today, my friend?
TJ, they do call me the White Drake. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
That
And
the one can take that from you. That's true.
it's very funny when my wife had her bachelorette party. One of the bridesmaids made like John face tattoos,
Yeah.
and on the darker bridesmaids, it looked a lot like Drake. It looked like literally someone said to one of them, "I love your Drake tattoo."
Hey, yeah, listen, that's good. The Rob McElhaney, however you say his name, is like the obvious one I thought of. But then when someone commented White Drake, I lost my shit. I was like, oh my God, how did I not see that? Because it's right there. But hey, there's worse celebrities to look like. So well, Drake's pretty bad, but but there are
Like
worse ones.
aesthetically, he's fine. He's fine to look like. I'd rather look
Yeah,
like him than Danny DeVito.
hold on a second.
But yeah, we will be reviewing Get Out today in our episode of the Left Wing Film Club. We want it to be a horror movie, given Halloween coming up on Friday, and
Give me one
so
second, John.
go ahead, TJ. I'm just
All right, give
introducing
me
the
one.
audience here. So TJ will be right back. As you guys know, TJ sometimes travels for work now, and he is currently at his travel office. So he will be back shortly. We are going to be reviewing Get Out. And I have a lot of thoughts on Get Out. This is a movie that I wanted to see or really wanted to see when it came out, and had very strong opinions on at the time. And I found it very interesting how my opinions have changed over time, but more so how the context of the world we lived in has changed over time relative to the movie. So we definitely have some comments here. Mark says, hey, who's all here tonight? Hello, Mark. It's just me and TJ tonight. We don't have a guest. So definitely stay tuned if you are usually excited to hear from our guests. Colby says, can we please briefly discuss TJ's recent Frozen Halloween costume? We will definitely be discussing TJ's recent Frozen Halloween costume. And Francisco Abarca says hi. Hello, Francisco. And also, Huge Ass jumps in the comments here. TJ doesn't realize that he's in the sunken place. White girlfriend, new drip, moved. John, you need to be his rod. Oh my God, I cannot wait for him to see that. And then Mark says, John, got to admit, I have not seen it. Okay, like Get Out is one of those films where I'm just like, how have you not seen it? Like, I feel like everyone saw that movie back when it came out, and it's been it came out in 2017. So we got 8 years. Wow, I can't believe that film came out 8 years ago. That's insane. But yeah, it looks like TJ might not be back here now. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you guys have seen Get Out, because one of the things we will be discussing is how the context around the film has changed over the past 8 years since it came out, how it kind of set up Jordan Peele and his trajectory as a director since then, and how if it is even still relevant in the year 2025. It's quite interesting. We'll also be talking about some of the motifs in the film. I really want to get into the deer stuff. That is something that I didn't quite realize. I guess I realized, but it is a lot more prevalent in the movie than I remembered on my recent rewatch. We'll also be discussing whether it works as a horror movie. I'll give you a spoiler alert. I do not think it does. But while TJ, we're still waiting for TJ here. It seems like he's been pulled away. We can also, looks like he's back. TJ is
Hey.
fine, luckily back right when I was like out of stream of consciousness words to say. So good timing there,
Oh,
TJ.
good, good. No, so
Uh,
as you can see, I'm doing the show from my office tonight, and the poor cleaning lady, she knocked over one of the awards for the organization, and it kind of shattered into a million pieces in the hallway. And she came and she was asking, she was worried that she'd get in trouble. She's not. She's fine. She's gonna be all right. She's not.
TJ's
It's
writing
gonna
her
be
up.
fine.
There's a line from Get Out. There's a line from Get Out. Thou shalt not.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, that's a different. I'm sorry. I'm also reading a book right now, and that I completely forgot.
Oh God, look
I
at
got
John
them mixed
reading a
up, and
book
I was like,
here.
yeah,
Yeah.
my
Oh
bad, my
boy.
bad there.
John.
But
John's a
TJ,
book reader, everyone. Just so you know.
I am a book listener. I listen to audiobooks. Reading a book, like who has the fucking time for that? But listen to an audiobook while I do chores, I can do that. We have a very important question, TJ, before we get
Let's
into
go.
Get Out.
Sure.
This question comes from who is it? Colby, and I also wanted to know. Can we please very briefly discuss TJ's recent Frozen Halloween costume?
Oh boy, yeah, wow. I listen. I came off worse in that video than I expected, and well, I mean, actually, Heather set me up that she made it. Well, for those who know what I'm talking about, we went to this Halloween event, and she was like, "Hey, let's go as Frozen. Like, we have a Frozen crew and everything." I was like, "Well, I mean, no one really cares about anyone in Frozen other than Elsa and Anna, right? I don't give a fuck about anybody else." But she's said, "No, this would be great." I said, "All right, sure." So I went as Kristoff, if anyone remembers that character's name, and I was kind of apprehensive about it, but oh no, no, oh no, I can't hear it. So I don't know if anybody else can hear it.
I have it muted, so just keep talking. I just want to give people the
Okay,
visual
all
of
right,
what we're talking about here.
Yeah, so everyone at the event was just fawning over Heather's outfit. Everyone, yeah, you should have seen the kids. The kids loved her. Like, we had parents coming up and said, "Oh, my daughter wants to talk to you because she sees a real life Elsa." I mean, Heather was the star of the fucking show, and I was really proud of how cool I looked in a blonde wig. I'd never worn a blonde wig before. I thought it looked fresh as hell, and I got like no compliments on it. And she says that I was kind of butthurt that I wasn't getting any attention. And maybe she was a little bit right, but not nearly to the extent that she said on the video. But yeah, it's I still like the wig. I'm gonna start doing TikTok videos wearing that wig, but I can't deny she killed this outfit. I can't deny
TJ,
it, so.
I absolutely loved that video. It was so funny because you're
Don,
right here.
Yeah, commented, yeah.
She exaggerates it, but it did bother. And I understand, I relate, but it did bother you a little that she was the center of attention and not you. I can tell on your face, like, if I put that much effort into a Halloween costume and then I just got completely showed up, yeah, there'd be a part of me that's like, like I'm sympathetic with you. It's a bad look. It's a bad look, but sometimes it's hard to hide.
It's a bad look. Women don't respect it.
Heather absolutely fucking killed it.
She did. I can't be that mad,
like a
right? I mean,
Elsa impersonator.
I know, right?
So, like,
it looks so good. I just like but listen, I am human. I am human after all. Thank you for bringing that up. Great.
This is, but the other thing I want to note, at first glance, I thought you were He-Man, not Kristoff.
You know what? I have got that comment many times. I've got that many times. I said, "Oh, I thought you were He-Man." I said, "Oh, you're right. It does look like He-Man." And He-Man was my favorite cartoon as a little kid, like 7 or 8 years. Man, to this day, because I had a little battle cat around it, so I'll just lean in, look like it.
Yeah, you are definitely cutting out a little bit here again, TJ.
Oh, damn it.
I know our constant struggles with technology and not having producers or a budget for better equipment or anything. But it is what it is. The show must go on. TJ, let's get started here with Get Out. So the first thing I want to start with is, this is obviously not an old movie, but it's been out for 8 years. I imagine we both saw it before rewatching it again for this episode. When you first saw it, what was your general reaction to it?
So we are right now. Is the audio okay?
It's kind of a little bit there. Try talking.
Damn. Oh no. Damn. Well, I don't do now.
You might want to end up taking the headphones off. It might be better that way. Or at least switching the mic to the now you're muted, so we cannot hear you. But technical difficulties, folks, as we continue to try and get through this. But how you doing, TJ? Looks like I don't know if TJ can hear me. Looks like TJ's gone now. But yeah, I absolutely loved their Halloween costume. Thank you guys for bearing with us through this beginning portion of the show that is way more difficult than we anticipated. Definitely leave your comments about how you what you think about Get Out in the comments. We definitely want to review some of those as we wait for TJ. I will get us started here, I guess.
We know what we're doing.
TJ is back. TJ, how you doing?
Is that better?
Say it again.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, I
Okay,
can. I think
sorry
you're going to
about
have internet issues, but the cutting out should probably stop.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I was saying that when I first saw Get Out all those years ago, I liked it. I didn't think it was as great as everyone told me. I think I went in with much higher expectations. It wasn't bad, and I enjoyed it a lot. But how about you?
Yeah, no, I had the exact same experience. Like going into the movie, like it was the hype for that movie was an all-time hype. Like very rarely do you ever see any movie hyped up like that, let alone a horror movie. This is probably the most hyped
Yeah,
horror movie I've ever seen, at least in my lifetime.
yeah.
And going into it, I think I was mainly disappointed by the fact that it's not really a horror movie. Like it's not scary. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, as I was writing notes for the show, I wrote down this movie isn't all that scary. It has horror elements as more of a thriller, and then I thought, oh, this is exactly what happened with Sinners. And the Sinners was scarier than this movie, I think. But it's weird. I would have to classify it as a horror film because it doesn't really fit any other genre. But I agree with the horror element not being oversold.
I mean, I think it very clearly fits the thriller genre.
Mhm.
Like if you just look at the script, but then it has these weird like jump scares and like horror music and a couple of creepy shots that are just like it seems like it's aesthetically trying to be a horror movie, but its bones are a thriller. And when I watched it as a horror movie, I left pretty darn disappointed. But rewatching it as knowing that it's not very scary and that it is a more of a thriller, I actually found it much more enjoyable. I think Sinners is a great comparison in that it is more of a thriller than a horror movie. In fact, Sinners is kind of its own thing. I actually don't know how to necessarily qualify Sinners.
Yeah.
It's like a period piece mixed with vampires, like, but it didn't sell itself as a horror movie. Like, no one was going to see Sinners and going like, "Oh, that was so scary." It wasn't advertised as a horror movie,
Yeah.
whereas Get Out was. Like, Get Out
Yeah.
very much was. And
Yeah.
you could say the same thing about Jordan Peele's entire filmography when none of them really are horror.
Yeah, I do like that. The subject matter I found really interesting. I'm sure we're going to get into that pretty soon. I see that our good friend Hugh Jass got a jump on this, stating TJ doesn't even realize he's in the sunken place. White girlfriend, new drip, moved. John, you need to be his Rod. Oh, that's great. That Rod is the true hero of the story is Rod. We're going to get to that, but thank you for that, Hugh Jass. I don't expect that, but no, the entire concept of it, because like we're going to be talking about do the politics that were the subtext of Get Out still apply today? I think it does in a lot of ways, but I also found the politics kind of weird in the beginning. The text, at least, not necessarily the subtext, because we'll get into exactly why the messaging is about the appropriation of Black culture and Black bodies and everything like that. But the 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 boilerplate premise of the movie that rich white people would want to be Black people, no, they wouldn't. I remember thinking that's like that's the last thing they would do. There is no shot in hell that some rich, I mean, unless they could be specific Black people. Like, yeah, they'd want to be Michael Jordan or something, but no, like a random Black people to no, I just didn't buy that part at all. I get it, it's not the entire point, but that's the part I remember thinking the most about the movie.
Okay, yeah, no. So I do agree that in general, when you're talking about horror specifically, movies overall, but horror very specifically, if you take shit too literally,
Yeah,
usually the movie will fall apart.
right.
And some movies do a really good job of explaining things. I do not think Get Out is one of them. I think Get Out, it doesn't make any sense, even just with a small little peek at just the straight text. You're right, because the subtext is there. The subtext works. And we talked about this in Sinners, how the subtext and the actual text don't line up. And in this situation, I don't think that's the case. I think the subtext and the actual text do line up in the right direction. I just think that the actual text doesn't make any fucking sense. And we will start with what you're talking about there. Why would these rich white people want to be in Black bodies? And the problem for me is there are good reasons for wanting to be in a new body. And I can even understand, like, there's plenty to talk about with like the envy of black bodies in white racism. Like that's definitely a thing that is within this film. But the problem is the black people just act hypnotized the entire movie. They do not act like the white people who stole their bodies at all, ever. And so it's just very confusing to me how all of a sudden at the end, this is the reveal. Like if they were if the art dealer guy was going to steal Chris's eyes, that makes sense. If the white lady wanted a black fuck slave, yeah, that all made sense up until the moment where, oh wait, the nanny was the grandmother and the groundskeeper was the grandfather the whole time. Wait, what? That doesn't make any sense. You're telling me the grandfather who started this whole fucking thing is just some he's chopping why? Why are they doing any of this?
Oh God, I hate to get bogged down in that, but it bugged me so much. And then upon watching this, this is bugging me again. And you know what? It could have been a lot more horrifying, a lot more terrible if they went with just the body part angle of like, oh, I want this black person's eyes, or I'm going to, give my husband this black person's dick or something. Like, that would have been a lot more horrifying than the, trap in the mind of the sunken place and everything like that. But I do get the symbolism in trying to show how, specifically in this case with like rich white people who are separated from, they probably never see black people at all, and there's this strange, did you get a vibe? 'Cause, all right, I was expecting that the antagonist, like the white family, to be like your jug hooting, shit kicking racist and stuff. That's not how they were portrayed at all. If anything, they were portrayed kind of like progressive, like maybe not progressive the wrong word, but not like your deep red conservatives like you would guess. I thought that was actually a pretty clever way to present them.
Yeah, no, TJ, I'm gonna do something on this show that I don't know has ever been done before.
Let's go.
I'm gonna put a John comment on the screen and agree with it, because he says,
"Oh, what?
Or is it a metaphor for the Democratic Party's subjugation of black people for their own personal benefits?" And you know what, John? You are 100% correct, because the white family, I'm actually forgetting the Ratcliffes or whatever it is, they are definitely liberal Democrats. As is made very clear, they would have voted for Obama a third time if they could.
Third time, that's right. I forgot about that line. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
They say that line. I remembered that line, like watching it. It's a meme now, so like you remember it. I didn't realize they say it 3 times. They say line 3 times in the movie. And that, like, they are the liberal Democrat wolf in sheep's clothing that Malcolm X warned us about. And I find that to be so interesting.
Yeah.
Watching it back in 2025, because in 2017, when the movie came out, it made a lot. How do I put this correctly? It made a lot more sense. Like, that was much more of a threat. Whereas watching it now, when the mask is off, it just feels a little like, this is a neat. I want to go back to this time when the thing that we were worried most about was the white liberal Democrats. What do you think about that, TJ?
No, yeah, you're right. We yearn for the days of the Obama Democrats. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, but no, it was fun watching. I thought that was a good way to present it, because it's kind of too hacky. It's too easy to go with the red-blooded flag-waving conservatives and their hatred of black people and everything. Yeah, okay, we all got that. It's easy. Yeah. But seeing them present it in a way that is kind of sugar-coated, like you mentioned with the Malcolm X quote. By the way, this is the only time I've spoken about that Malcolm X quote in a positive way, because I'm so used to conservatives saying this, the quote is that, the white liberals are foxes and that they're not to be trusted and everything. And yeah, Malcolm X did say that. He said that white liberals will hide their teeth and their actual intentions to harm black people, wolf in sheep clothing stuff. And so, well, what does he say about conservatives? He just says conservatives are wolves. They always leave that part out. Yeah, they always leave the part that says, yeah, well, we know the conservatives are bad. We're just saying that liberals are bad, but they just hide it. They, ignore that altogether. But it is a clever way to approach it, because you can mask a lot of racism with pleasantries. You can, just like we were talking about with the mom, where she goes to Rose and she looks at her black boyfriend, looks back at her, she says, "So, is it true? Is it better?" I was like, oh, that was a weird. She's like grabbing his arms, like a weird fucking thing to say. And like a straight, it's not condescending, but kind of infantilizing, or just a ridiculous oversimplification of shit. Like when the guy started talking to him about how he plays golf, he's like, I know Tiger Woods. That's okay, well, but like he cares or knows Tiger Woods. Like, what's the implication here? It is, I don't know. You do see this a lot from either people who are being just like condescending and diet racist, or maybe people who are just ignorant of how to deal with someone outside of their culture. I went to college and in Wisconsin, and not a lot of black folk in Wisconsin. And I shit you not, this happened. I grew like an afro. I was like a 19-year-old little afro and everything like that. And I would have white girls come up to me and ask to touch my hair. They'd be like, "Oh, that is so cool. Can I touch your hair?" And after a while, I started answering, "Yes, you can, but you have to let me touch yours first." You wouldn't believe how shocked they looked when they got that. I was like, "Really? Why would you want to touch my hair? Why? I don't understand." A few of them got it, and they were, "Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry." But like this, treating people in a different culture like some weird exotic animal that's like a petting zoo, literally. And I thought that was a good representation of that.
I actually, like, as much as the text is broken and doesn't make sense, the subtext is so spot on. Like, that's one of the things going back and rewatching it. I wanted to be like, as my perspective on this film changed after knowing more and learning more, because, I was critical of the movie back in 2017 for the reasons that we just spoke about. It's not a horror movie. It was incorrectly advertised. But when you say that, you kind of get the pushback sometimes of like, oh, well, you as a white guy just don't get it.
Yeah.
And I will say, nope, I did not find this any scarier with a better understanding or whatever. Like, that's not why it's scary. Like, I don't think that this is particularly scarier to black people than white people. But I will say that since watching that as a teenager, those sort of moments really stood out to me more now, having talked with more black people, learned all the shit, right? Of like those little subtle ways where it's not prejudice. It's not aggressive. It's not malicious, but it is a constant presence of systemic racism in the lives of every black person. Like, I'm sure you are not the only person who has ever had that experience with the hair. The specific line that really stood out to me was near the end when the art connoisseur, the gallery director, he was like, oh no, Chris asked him why black people, and he was like, I don't know. It's how it always has been. But don't lump me in with that bullshit. I just want you for these very important practical reasons, not because I'm racist. And that to me was probably, when I say like the subtext of the film is spot on, that tied it all right there, because that's what these people are. They don't want to appear racist. They are so clearly and obviously racist. Like, no one would ever argue that the white people in Get Out aren't racist. They are overtly racist. But each and every one of them, or at least most of them, don't think they are. They think they actually have a great deal of appreciation for black people. They love them so much they want to be inside one of them and take their body. Like, that is the message of the film, and I feel like it is excellently delivered in a way that I probably didn't appreciate the first time I watched it.
I gotta say, I do not envy being Jon 8 years ago trying to say why he thought Get Out was a bad, or not as good as all the black people are saying it is. That must have been a tough spot, Jon. I'm sorry to hear that right there. But you were just saying about the people and the unintentional racism, like the lack of intentional malice, but still, this is this is what, so when people talk about microaggressions, a lot of folks get annoyed, understandably why, because a lot of times people will read too much into something. And I said a long time ago that I thought conservatives were kind of onto something when they said, well, liberals try to look for racism and everything. In a way, that's kind of true. In a way, that's kind of like sometimes when it's not even there at all, where it's like, or bringing up something that has racist roots and pretending it's a big deal today. This, I hate to sound like right-wing TJ here, but that's kind of true. Like, for example, there's a lot of our language is structure is just completely racist. There's a lot of racist elements to figures of speech that we use or terms that we use that you wouldn't know. Long time no see is not a structurally correct English sentence. It was a sentence that was used to make fun of the way Native Americans spoke, a couple hundred years ago. Yeah, long time no see. Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff like that. Oh, no, wait, no. I'm sorry. Long time no see was to make fun of the way Chinese people spoke. Many moons ago, that's a Native American term. It's just stuff that I'm making fun of that. And so there's a lot of that out there that people use that was used in a malicious sense. And over the years, it's lost it. And if no one's really offended by something, I don't know why people make a big deal out of it. But this is a good example of how I say this applies. You mentioned how it applies to, like, your liberal leaning folks who in their heart think that they're not racist. The conservatives think the same thing. Well, not all of them. A healthy amount of conservatives will openly admit they're racist. They, oh yeah, that's right. I mean, that there's a whole wing of the Republican Party or the conservative movement, like the Nick Fuenteses of the crew that say, oh yeah, we are racist and we love it. We beat our chest and say it. But if you look at the writings of slave owners, like people who actually own human beings as farm equipment, and read what they wrote about black people, almost none of them will say they hate black people. You won't find it. You will see them saying, we love black people. We want what's best for them. Hopefully one day they'll be civilized enough to live among society. But as it is now, someone's got to train them in the right way and teach them in the ways of the Lord. And unfortunately, that's got to be me. It's a tough task. Robert E. Lee said he thought slavery was a great injustice against white people because they were forced with the task of civilizing these savages. So it's funny how it goes all ways. Like, bad guys rarely see themselves as bad guys. They think they're doing the right thing.
Yeah, and I think that the film does a very good job of highlighting the different kinds and flavors of this sort of racism with each of the individual side characters. I think actually what this film does better than maybe anything is that every character is incredibly well used. Great performances. We'll get into some of the performances, but each character is really, really extent that I would be cool watching a movie about basically each and every one of them. Before I get into more specifically with the characters, did want to bring up, so you mentioned like those old sayings that are really like kind of fucked up for one reason or another. And we had two in the comments that I recognize as those, but I don't quite remember the reason why. One being the ice cream truck song and one being picnic. Do you know why either of those are fucked up?
Picnic, I remember hearing that, but I don't know if picnic actually is one. I think picnic was one that people thought was. Ice cream truck, I don't know. That do your ears like, oh yeah, like the ice cream truck song, the N-word is in it, I believe, in the original one. Kind of like Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo. Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo was not catch a tiger by the toe, it was catch, by the toe. And I'm pretty sure the ice cream truck song had a racial slur in it too. And Cakewalk, that is one. Cakewalk was like an event slave owners did to embarrass black people to get them a treat or something. However, Brianna come here, architecture practice is moving away from the term master bedroom nowadays and using primary bedroom instead. That's true, because master bedroom, we use master a lot, master bedroom, master cable, slave cable. Like, we do a lot in our language, but master bedroom isn't actually a slave term, like in reference to the master. Yeah, it's not. It's a weird way. It sounds like it would be, but it's not. Did someone comment? The ice cream. What was the other one? The ice cream truck one and the picnic. Yeah, I can't remember what the picnic one was. I'm sorry, but yeah, that's true. Go ahead, John.
Drop it in the comments. Explain it to us, because I both of them I recognize as definitely there's something wrong with them. And there's a lot of those like that too, like Master Bedroom, where it's like, this sounds enough like it might have been racist that we're just gonna not use it on the off chance that it is. And that's like one of those things where you kind of mentioned how microaggressions, like, they piss people off, and it's like, they do. Like, I understand why it's just like, oh, this I have to do, this I have to do, this I have to do. And I don't know if it's just there's no one group or one people at fault here, but I feel like it's always a case where the reason people are repelled by the idea that it's a microaggression will just deny it. Is like, they're like, oh, you're telling me I'm bad. It's like, no, you're not. If you didn't know this, like, I didn't know that eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by the toe had different lyrics for. I just didn't know that. Yeah. If you got pissed at me for saying eeny, meeny, miny, mo, no, I'd be like, what the fuck, bro? That's insane. But like, if you're like, hey, like the girls that touched your hair that were like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I'm sorry. Like, yeah, you weren't like, you're bad for this, but it sucks for you. And so people should learn and improve and get better. And people hate changing, so they'll always oppose it. But like, it's not incredibly unreasonable, I think, if it is framed in that direction.
A problem that we run into a lot is that, people on the left are really condescending pricks a lot of times, and we assume everyone has the same knowledge and experience and background and education for a lot of times that we do. And I think back to just a few years ago, 8 years ago or so, I was talking to a friend of mine, and they were talking about using they as a singular pronoun. And I remember typing out a message. I was like, fuck that. That's absurd. That's ridiculous. Why would I ever do that? That's the dumbest thing ever. That wasn't that long ago. That was not that long ago where I was at. And back then I was more progressive than your average Republican. So you can't expect like a 65-year-old Republican to come around to this quite quickly. Another thing you were saying about things that sound racist that aren't, I don't want to say it. The word is fine, but it sounds racist as hell. Think of the N-word, as I'm sure you do a lot, John, but think of the N-word and then put a suffix on it. And the suffix is BLY. It's not spelled that way. There's the E is an A, but it's pronounced the same way. And I remember back in the 90s, there was some mayor. I can't remember. I think he was in Mississippi or Alabama, which doesn't help, but because he probably was a racist, but he used that word, and the word means like cheap, someone who's miserly, someone who doesn't, and it is in no way related to the N-word. Like no etymological relationship at all. But it was a big firestorm about it, and Rush Limbaugh went to town on this. He's like, can you believe these liberals getting upset of someone using a perfectly good English word? That one I would not recommend. There's no way to let that slide because it just sounds too simple. But these things do happen.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. It's like, you hear that, like, any reasonable person hears something like that and they go, yeah, you know what? I'd rather not. I'd rather not. Like if that's the case, I'm gonna just not use that word anymore. Like, it doesn't affect my life. It's totally fine. But some people are like, no, I want to keep using that word, even though it hurts people. Yeah, I don't think they should be hurt. And there's situations where that is the case. That like it is reasonable, but in a situation like that, like why bother? Like why put up this fight? How is it benefiting you to use this? I'm not even gonna say it. I'm not even gonna say it, TJ. But like that's just
I didn't say It's tricky because words aren't offensive until they are. That is like that. I wish that there was a hard and fast rule on this, which is why I lean so much on the integrity of the offense. Okay, if someone came up to me and said, "Long time no see," I am not going to launch into how fucking dare you racist piece of shit. What? It's like that's insane. I know that's not what they meant, but I can't say. Maybe 50 years from now, like the Groypers will get a hold of it and they use it. You know what? Here's a good example. Christ is King.
Yep.
Like Christ is God, my voice is killing me. I'm sorry. Christ is King is not like a racist or anti-Semitic thing to say. But Christians have been saying it for thousands of years. If you are a Christian, you believe that Christ is King. There's nothing wrong with that. However, over the last couple of years, I've seen this grow and being used as a signal from Nazis, basically saying, yeah, we hate Jews. Like, that's what it is now. Like, and so, yeah, if I see someone wearing it, okay, I'm suspicious. It's not to the point where I know that they're purposely being offensive, but the intent is what matters the most, which is like why I the first TikTok video I ever did that gained any traction, I was saying how I don't like the term white privilege, and which isn't a denial of white privilege, but whenever you say white privilege, what people here is totally different than what you mean. So the term doesn't mean anything. And I got a lot of pushback from people saying, well, we shouldn't have to coddle white people. It's like, yeah, I know we shouldn't, but that's the world, right? That's the world we live in. And you can't immediately put people on the back foot when the overwhelming likelihood is that they weren't trying to be offensive, because there was a time that you didn't know these terms were offensive too. And if you show a little bit of grace now, if you know people are being purposely pricks, yeah, go for it. But a lot of times we don't give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, and that is the case where you should always give people the benefit of the doubt until they prove you wrong, until they prove otherwise. And if you live life like that, you're probably going to have a happier life than if you have hard, fast rules about every sentence in the English language. Because, as you said, words are defined. Yeah. There's no distinct, unless it is a scientific term. Like, there's not like any one definition to any word, because they are all just massive exploits of our human pattern recognition abilities. Like, they don't exist in objective reality. But yeah. I do want to say, go ahead.
I said words don't have meaning, they have usages.
Yes,
and that
exactly.
usage has changed from time, culture, place. Yeah, so
if the usage has changed, the word has changed. Colby says it's too bad that you guys are too woke to do a favorite N-word tier list, which that is true. You are. However, I would love to do a segment on like all of those things you didn't realize were super fucking racist. That's
great. That's great. Yep. That's a good one. So one fucked up thing Donald Trump does that I hate to admit is funny, I hate to admit it, is his N-word joke. When he goes on TV and he's in interviews and he's talking to the reporter and he says, you don't want me to use the N-word. No one should ever use the N-word, but I'm about to. I'm about to say the N-word. Nuclear. I thought that was really funny when I heard. I mean, listen, it's racist. It's really shitty. It's crude. President has no business doing it. Structurally, though, as a joke, I can't argue. You set them because you set people up and then bam, rug pull. The guy knows what he's doing. I saw a comment here. All right, Kyle, former Jew here. A lot of people used to ask if they could touch my hair too. Didn't know it was a common thing among black people until I was 21. Kyle, how are you a former? All right, so listen, like I got that, Judaism is like a religion too, but if you're talking about being Jewish in reference to your hair texture, you're still, I don't know, former is odd. Like, sorry. It's odd to add the former in that context. Like, if you said former Jew here, I used to, have nothing to do on Saturday. I'd sit around and so, all right, that makes sense. But if you're talking about, the ethnic texture of your hair, that was just odd. But sorry.
Yeah, that doesn't change.
That's a weird comment, Kyle.
Bree says Blazing Saddles review when? Maybe we should do Blazing Saddles for our next movie review. But let's circle back to the current movie of Get Out, since we went on a tangent there, as we are often doing. So one thing, let's start. I want to go character by character here, TJ. And there's so many good characters. And obviously we should start with Chris, the main character. Now, this is definitely something I didn't pick up on the first viewing, but I did pick up on this viewing. I think the movie is pretty darn critical of Chris. Well, would you agree with that statement?
Yeah. Did Chris seem kind of dumb to you? I guess you kind of have to. Like, your horror element needs to be kind of, your main character can't be too on the nose here, because Rod was right about we'll get to Rod later, but everything was kind of laid out in front of him, and of course you couldn't expect him to know that there's this group of people who hypnotize you and steal your brain. All right, yeah, I don't know, you guess that, but I don't know. I didn't think Chris was slow until maybe halfway through the movie in catching on, because were you surprised that Rose was a bad guy? That caught me off guard. I didn't think Rose would be a bad guy. Like, that kind of snuck up on me. She seemed like when we met her folks, maybe because I saw the commercials too and everything, like the comments and the snide stuff, but she seemed pretty normal to me. So I think early movie Chris I was okay with. Later movie Chris, not quite as much.
Yeah, so I actually picked up on it immediately with Chris
Mhm.
because you're right. He does do some dumb things, but I actually think the dumb things are really obviously explainable, especially watching it in 2025. Because kind of the whole idea, the title of the film is Get Out.
Yeah.
He's repeatedly told to get out. There are clear and obvious signs that he should get out, and he ignores them, which
Yeah.
is a horror movie trope. Like that is Jordan Peele playing with horror movie tropes in a very, I think, well constructed way. But the interesting thing about it is that we are constantly surrounded by get outs in daily life now. Like we are living through an administration that is saying, yeah, I'm a run for a third term. Yeah, we're building up this internal domestic police force. Yeah, we're surveying people who speak bad about us online. Yeah, and we're building, we're sending people to this torture camp in El Salvador. Yeah, we're building a new one in Florida. And it's like all of those little signs of, hey, maybe you should get out. This is kind of weird. Why is she touching your arm like that? Why are they saying these weird racial things? And you can tell that Chris notices them. Chris sees them for what they are, but constantly, whenever pushed and questioned about them, he rationalizes them. He doesn't want to admit that the water is boiling around him until it is or should have been too late for him. And I feel like that part of the movie, as much as you're going to say, yeah, he's stupid, and I actually really appreciate how it subverts the stupid protagonist horror trope and makes you look in the mirror of your own reality.
Yeah, and to be fair to him, I think I just talked about it too, how I face those situations a lot. And I stuck around too. So yeah, I guess it's hard for me to be too critical on him, but that is true. I was just thinking about when he met the dad. The dad said something like, so what did he say? It was like, how long has this thing been going on or something?
Yep.
That's something you actually would hear. That's something you
hear that shit every day. And so it's normalized to you. You don't necessarily feel like you're in danger because the danger is always so normal.
Yeah, it doesn't really maybe it doesn't start too much. The time he realized it was a little maybe a little later than I would have liked, like in real life or something like that. I know it's a horror movie and everything, but like the guy who the first guy who yells to get out, I can't remember the character's name, but the guy was smiling too much. That is a dead giveaway, regardless of what color your skin is, what your background is. Nobody smiles that much. The only people who smile that much are like serial killers and salesmen. Then you should avoid them at all costs. So yeah, I think I spotted that a little soon too.
Yeah, no, the smiles were definitely probably the scariest part of the, like, genuinely, like, again, not many actual horror elements in this movie. However, the smiles and the looks on the faces of the hypnotized Black people, 100%, those were genuinely scary. Not frequent enough for me to classify this as a scary or horror movie, but
not quite.
No, they were good. Like they hit their spots and they did a good job. Performance wise also did a great job. The thing I want to say there, in terms of the thing, at what point, I guess, would you have done something different than Chris?
I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question. I'd have to. I saw it a few days ago. I can't remember, but I have to exactly when it would happen. I'm not sure. What do you think would the correct time would be?
So for me, and I remember like when I first watched this movie, I believed up until the twist that the girlfriend was on his side. And
me too. Yeah.
Okay. And they do a really good job of hiding that. But once you see the box of photos that he finds of the ex-Black boyfriends,
or ex, yeah.
I feel like that's the moment where you just take her hostage. Like at that point, like he's still like, give me the keys. I'm like, bro, what you? It's clear. It's like she's part of this, bro. Like she duped you. Admit it. Fuck that girl up. Like you need to take her hostage and say, I'm walking out of here or your daughter dies. And maybe they let their daughter die, but at least you get yours. Like, that is the moment. And I understand that's a hard thing. I understand I'm Twitter fingers right now. But, like, that was the moment where I was like, okay, you need to get a little bit more violent and aggressive right now because your life is clearly and obviously in imminent danger, and there's no more rationalizing it, and you know it too.
Yeah, I don't know. The escape plan from that is kind of shady. It's kind of tricky. I mean, you're surrounded. And that's actually something that I thought of when Chris is there at the event, and that I don't know if this was part of the plan from Jordan Peele or whatever, but letting people see like what it's like to always be in an obvious minority, to be an obvious minority or thing. I'll hear this from people who travel. They'll go to a different country and they'll talk about how strange it is, like being the only white person. I was like, oh yeah, that happens. Like it's every day. That's and you get used to it. You don't think about it all that much, but it is something that's always there. With taking the girlfriend hostage at the end of the movie, people have seen it here, I imagine. The part that annoyed me really a whole lot was he couldn't bring himself to kill, what's her name, Rose, I think. He couldn't bring himself to kill her. Why not? I don't understand. Like I don't care how much I like somebody. Like, if Jon did this to me, I wouldn't hesitate, right? It's like he's not the friend I thought he was. That part bothered me too, which is one again why I have a low opinion of Chris in a lot of ways.
So we're gonna get to Rose next, but I feel like that really sums up what I genuinely believe. I don't think people understand how critical this movie is of Chris, because you're right. You're right. It's like, why wouldn't you kill her? And it's because he is as much as he's the protagonist of this film, I feel like he is the main point of critique. Because you can say, oh, it's critical of the racist white people, but okay, let's be honest. That's not an incredibly novel message, right? Yeah, oh, rich white people, they can be racist sometimes. Mm-hmm. That wouldn't have brought the house down. But with Chris, from the beginning of the movie, how he is introduced, it goes from the abduction of, I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head, but the first guy that gets abducted, the guy that's in Atlanta, really great actor. I fucking love it every time I see him. And then you go from this abduction to the title sequence and a montage of these black and white photographs of clearly, black, urban, minority, impoverished communities, and showing them off, right? And then after that montage, you see them in this rich apartment. And it's a very, very wealthy apartment. And these photos are hung on all the walls. And then it's Chris. It's Chris's apartment. He's the photographer. He's making beaucoup bucks from exploiting is a hard word because he is black himself. And maybe came up in that environment. But he isn't anymore. And there's a clear and obvious juxtaposition that the movie is making in those two scenes. And it continues throughout the film. I would argue that the film is saying, Chris, you're the fucking problem here. The fact that you continue to submit, you continue to pretend like all of this is okay for your own personal gain, because this is, he's kind of an Uncle Tom in a way. And he knows this. He's aware of this, and yet can never quite bring up the will to do what is necessary. Even in the end, he lets Rose live. And you could make maybe the argument she suffers more that way, which I would agree with, but I don't think that's what was going through his brain at that time. TJ, am I off here, or do you think that analysis is pretty accurate?
I don't think you are, because I remember like when the movie came out and the commercials and everything, that the choice to make it an interracial, like white and black relationship was purposeful. It was like, I don't know if anyone here is familiar with Dr. Umar or whatever. Yep. I think someone commented about snow bunnies in here somewhere, but Dr. Umar, who's in a lot of, financial legal trouble right now. Yeah. Not an upstanding guy.
Oh, that's the man with his own snow bunny.
Listen, look. Dr. Umar,
literally dressed as Elsa.
Yeah. Actually, Heather commented on that video and she left a bunch of emojis. I don't think she put any words. She just put some emojis. She put like a heart and a snowflake. And I was like, is she doing a snow bunny? Oh no, TJ, she was Elsa. I immediately went to snow bunny when I saw the snowflake comment that she wrote there. But no, Dr. Umar, for those of you who don't know, he's like, honestly, he's a comedian, basically. He's a psychologist and a con man, and he's always talking about black empowerment, black exceptionalism. He's essentially a black separatist. One of his big things is he hates interracial dating. It's like his go-to stump speech and everything. He's always talking about how bad snow bunnies are for black men and everything. But outside, Dr. Umar is kind of an extreme example, but like black men who date white women are kind of like, well, wait a minute, why are you dating a white girl? Hold on,
it's brought up in the movie when he was like, it's like the maid unplugs his phone and he's like, I think she hates me because I'm dating you, and she's like, what? And he's like, it's a thing, which is very funny because when I first watched the movie, I didn't know what he was talking about. It's not until this watch I was like, oh, Dr. Umar.
But so they didn't have to do that. I'm not a director or whatever, Jordan, but that wasn't a necessary component. You could have got him to this event for 1,000 different ways, but specifically making him as a black man who's dating a white woman. I kind of saw it as like, oh, this guy has it coming. That's kind of the setup here, that this guy, that's his first mistake right there. He's leaving the culture behind. He's abandoning his people. I wouldn't be surprised. I haven't seen Jordan Peele's comments or commentary on this at all. If that wasn't part of setting him up to be, he's not a hero in any way. I don't see him as someone who like triumphs against this year, whatever. You see him as like some sap who got dragged into this, but not someone you want to emulate.
And who is the guy that triumphs, TJ?
Rod, our boy Rod, the brave TSA agent who's not even getting paid right now. Rod is out there, checking people's bags or not. I mean, TSA doesn't really, but anyway, he is a hero in that sense, and he's getting screwed over. I hate to see it.
And I think that the conversation with Rod actually like very much solidifies my point, where Rod, he's played off as laughs, as a comedic relief character the entire movie, but he is spot on right from the fucking beginning, right from the start. He is on this. And I wouldn't go so far as to say Jordan Peele is critical of snow bunnies. Like I don't think he's a Dr. Umar type. And
he's married to a white woman, actually. I just thought about that.
Is he? Yeah, exactly.
I just remember that.
And I think that like the textual evidence for that is that Rose, they spend the most time with her. Of all the non-Chris characters, Rose has spent the most time with, but she's damn convincing. Like she's really good at her job. Yeah, like TJ and I are both people who watch a lot of movies. We are very aware of racial themes and messages in them, and that totally both of us miss. Of course, I was a teenager at the time, so whatever. But even watching it this time, I was like, yeah, I wouldn't have picked up on it. Would not have picked up on it. She does such a good job. She always, in every situation, says the exact right thing that her character would say, to the point where there were times, even knowing what she was, where she was talking and I was like, I relate to that. Like I relate to being the white person who is aware of systemic racism and all these problems and having to constantly be aware of my position in that. And she plays that character excellently because no one can do it perfectly. We all fuck up. And she fucks up at times throughout the movie and does the exact right things that you would want her to do. And it plays the part so well. But then you're watching it knowing how it ends, and you're like, she's just playing with her food. Like, she's getting off on this. And it's what, like, that is probably, she's the best horror villain of all of them. Because, like, you can argue the dad's the main guy or whatever, but, like, she is toying with him. She enjoys this part of the hunt of gaining their trust and their love before destroying them. And it just plays at the end where she's just a sociopath. Like she's talking to Rod on the phone without an expression on her face because she doesn't need one. She's just acting always, all the time. And her audience can't see her, so she's only acting with her voice. It is so well done. And even Rod at the end, when he hangs up the phone on her, she's like, fuck. She's a genius. Like, yeah, she's fantastic.
She's great. She's great. I'm kind of upset that no one, at least I haven't checked, but I didn't see, but when I commented that Rose fooled me, I was expecting someone to say, well, of course she fooled you, TJ. I was waiting for that to come and it didn't happen, but I'm glad.
Come on, Colby, where the fuck are you? That was so low-hanging fruit.
I set it up. I set it up for you right there. But yeah, I agree. She fooled me. I had no idea that was coming. And the commercials didn't do anything to give it away. I thought they hit the twist really well. Probably, I don't know if I wouldn't say favorite character, but the most interesting character to me was her, just because of that twist right there that I did. She played it really well. I agree.
Yeah. And so you have her. And she's great. I would watch a whole movie of her. Like I would watch a sequel where
prequels of her to trapping other black people.
She didn't die, you know. Like
she did die. They left her to.
They left her to die.
Oh, I thought she.
Okay. You do not see her die, and also her brother. You do not see die. Like when he first hits the brother in the head with the bocce ball and leaves him there. That's a moment where you're like, "Come on, Chris, come on." Like, finish the job. You know what you need to do here. Like, you already attempted to kill him. You can kill him a little bit more right now. Just let it go, because he's obviously coming back. That was not a surprising twist. But yeah, she's just kind of left bleeding out, and you assume she dies, but there's no reason that has to be the case. She was wonderful. I also I thought all the side characters were really both well acted and well written. I want to move to the dad, because the dad, there's an interesting deer motif with the dad that I wanted to get at. By first noting that the first time we see a deer is when they hit it on the side, like it flies out in front of the car. And I remember thinking the first time I saw that deer fly, I was like, that deer was flying way too fast in midair to be like real and just a deer in the road. And it's obviously supernatural. And then he goes back and looks at the deer and stares at the deer. And there's this weird, creepy moment, very horror coded. And then just there's no explanation for why that deer had supernatural leaping powers. As we were talking about with the actual text of this film falls apart pretty quickly. But the dad also has that comment early on where he's like, yeah, I'm glad you killed the deer. The deer, they're overpopulating, they're destroying the ecosystem, and every time I see a deer dead on the side of the road, I think, good, that's a start. And now we know he's talking about black people. now we know that. And he has the deer hanging up right in that room, in the rec room, where he's tied up looking at the little TV. And then he ends up killing him with the deer. Did you pick up on the whole deer thing? Because I didn't remember the first time I watched it, but going back to it, I said,
I didn't
really use that deer a lot.
No, I didn't catch the deer thing. Which is good though. Now that you say it, I do remember that. What I did catch this time that I didn't catch the first time around, kind of like with your deer thing, was when the family members or the crew come in to the event there at the house. They're all driving black cars. Did you see that?
They're all driving, all the white people are driving cars.
Yeah, they're all driving black cars. I didn't notice that my first time around, but I thought that was pretty good.
So why do you think it's good that they're driving black cars? Because they're white people inside a black
because that's the theme of white people being black. I don't think that was an accident. It was just kind of strange that it happened to be.
You're probably right. That is probably true. I didn't pick up on that until just now that you said it. I always just assumed it was just these are important, rich, political people. Yeah, whatever. But so I can't, TJ, I'm going to do it again. I cannot believe I'm about to do it again, because John has another comment where he's right. So John says, and for those of you,
who is John?
John, he's.
I keep thinking you're talking about you. I keep thinking you're talking about you.
John is one of my favorite haters, and he comments on all my shit. He often floods the comments on our show, and sometimes you kick him out, and he's doing a good job here. John, I just want to let you know you're doing a good job, because he says y'all going to talk about how the police would have saved the black man. but she stepped in so the police would have to would not have a record of him being there. And that's entirely true. In the beginning of the film, they're talking to the police after they hit the deer, and the policeman asked for Chris's ID, and she plays it off as if she is a white knight, saying, "No, I'm using my whiteness to protect this black man." And even he falls for this. He says in the car, "That was pretty hot." But now we know, looking back, hindsight 2020, she was doing that so that there would be no record of Chris officially being there, because she was about to disappear him. And that's brilliant. I think that is very brilliant. Good. Love that part of the film. However, it does bring up a good point. One point that I feel like is interesting, because obviously Jordan Peele knows his, black people in media tropes. We've talked about it several times now. Also, very interesting. Black person, not the first person to die in this horror film.
I love to see it. I love to see it.
Good to note there. In fact, that black people do die, but they're kind of already gone at the point. So anyway, moving on. There is a trope in media where black people are set to play law enforcement historically, specifically with the intent of trying to normalize, get better relations between police and black people. People call it propaganda. Is a pretty well documented thing. And this is a thing that you see throughout a lot of media, where especially in earlier film history, where you didn't have black people playing heroic roles, as soon as like that became a thing, and again, we're talking about times of segregation here, but as soon as like you started seeing black people play actual significant protagonists and stuff, they were always good, law-abiding, like overly upstanding citizens, because they had to be in order to make it work. Or on the flip side of it, they were some gangbanger or something. And that was the only two representations of black people you saw for a long time in media. And I found it interesting that Jordan Peele obviously knows this. And yet John's right. The white cop would have been a good guy in this movie. The Rod, he's a cop. I mean, kind of. TSA. And it's very funny. He's making fun of the TSA. Like that's a very fun bit. But it does play into that trope. And I don't really know what to say about that. I don't know if Jordan Peele knows what he's saying about that, but I did definitely find it interesting watching it this time through. Did you pick up on that?
So I don't know if you knew this, because I didn't until I think a couple years ago, but Jordan Peele is biracial.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah. It's like genetics are weird. Like, that happens a lot, where someone might, because
he does not look biracial at all.
He doesn't. But then again, what does, I mean, we have your like Key is biracial, but he looks more biracial. Like, okay, I think that, but they're both biracial. And I've seen it plenty of times. I know plenty of people who are biracial. I would never guess. Or then there's
116 Cherokee, TJ.
Who? That's my favorite. We don't have time for me to go on my 116 Cherokee rant from back in there, whatever. But and then there's black people who do have two black parents who look biracial. Prince is a good example of this. I was floored when I found out that Prince wasn't like part white from either parent, honestly. So, genetics just work funny that way. But a lot of critiques about Key and Peele, I don't know if you've heard these, but in the black community, a lot of critiques are that the comedy that they do, I've said, seems like it's directed at black people who grew up in the suburbs, or black people who grew up around a lot of white people, which they did. And so they're like, the critique is accurate right there. So I'm not saying that it's a more valid form of black representation, but it is a wider one, a more nuanced one, in that like you mentioned that over the years, people have had the habit, okay, we don't want to just do what in the past, like Birth of a Nation, which we must review sometime. We have to review Birth of a Nation sometime. Birth of a Nation had almost every black person in there was essentially an animal, that they were there trying to rape and kill and murder and disenfranchise. They actually used the word disenfranchise when it came to like the slave owners, that they actually use that word in the movie, which I found hilarious. And then you have the good black people who are the ones who are supporting the slave owners. Like that's the dichotomy there. But for most of American cinema, you had the black people who were just the troublemakers, and with few exceptions. Some people are, okay, we're going to overcorrect and make sure that we have your knight in shining armor black person, but that's not an accurate representation either. Like there's a wide spectrum, just like with anyone else. So properly presenting that is a good way to do it. And like we say with like all cops are bastards. Yeah, that's fine. I get the phrase and everything like that, but it's an oversimplification because saying that the police are bad or like the structure of American policing is bad is a blanket statement that lacks a lot of nuance for people who don't know what you're already talking about. In that it doesn't matter if an individual cop is a great person. Like this guy could be, an active member of the community. He may not have a racist bone in his body. He's really doing his best to try to stop crime and try to make his neighborhood better. I'm sure that applies to more people than I can count in the police force. However, when you're talking about the system, it's like, okay, it's kind of like the military. I joke about how I don't trust anyone in the military. Of course I do. I was in the military and everything. But I'm not going to, if someone critiques the power and the damage and the destruction done by the U.S. military, I'm not going to take it as an offense. Oh, you're saying I'm a bad person? Like, maybe you are, but I'm not going to immediately interpret it that way. But anyway, I think it is a good representation to show that, yeah, there's a broad spectrum of black people and white people, and in that film. I agree.
No, I actually find this this is a very interesting angle to look at it from. Kyle says Keegan and Jordan both have white moms. Them being biracial is 20% of their comedy. They even have a sketch about Jordan being insecure because all the white went to his dick. And I actually do remember that sketch. It's a very funny sketch. And I think that it actually, I didn't realize that was real. I remember that sketch.
Yeah,
I didn't realize
Jordan
was actually biracial. Like, I just thought he was playing a biracial character in that moment. But I do find it interesting because Key and Peele very much appeals to me. Like Key and Peele very much appeals to the suburban kid that is in a mixed race environment, I feel like, because you get a lot of the jokes, and I remember having a lot of bonding with some of my black friends over Key and Peele specifically. And that style of comedy, that their content, their messaging definitely comes from that perspective, which is why I actually feel like it's even better how critical of Chris this film was. Like, because that criticism is leveled at Jordan. He uses black culture and black experience to make art that enriches him, and it's predominantly targeted at white people. You obviously Get Out and Key and Peele are loved by black audiences, but what makes Get Out incredibly special, it from a Hollywood perspective, from a box office and cultural success perspective, and you can make this same argument about Black Panther, is that it is black media from a black auteur that is incredibly aware that is being structured for mass audiences. And there aren't actually many examples of that. You have black media from black auteurs that are meant for black audiences.
Yeah.
You have white media from black auteurs who are meant for white audiences. But up until Get Out, I'm sure there are examples, but there aren't many of them where it is a black auteur making media about the black experience that is intended for mass audience consumption. I'm trying to think of an example, and I really can't, but would you agree with that, TJ?
So the examples that come to my mind, I think, would fall under black media made for black audience that had mass appeal, like Coming to America or something like that. Would definitely. Have you seen Coming to America?
Yeah, you said Coming to America. Have I seen Coming to America? One of my favorite movies.
Okay.
So Eddie Murphy is the prodigal son of it. Like you're right. Eddie Murphy was one of the first overtly black actors that like made black movies that were a hit with white audiences. For Eddie Murphy's is
overtly black just really made me laugh. I don't know what that means.
Well, I always forget his name, but the guy that I was kind of overtly referring to earlier, the first black man to win an Oscar. I'm completely forgetting.
Sidney Poitier.
Sidney Poitier, and he played good old black boy. Like he was in a lot of sense the thing that the hypnotized black people were kind of mocking to be in Get Out. Like, not as aggressive, but that's kind of thing, like what I was mentioning earlier, where he always played good, upstanding. There's no moral grayness. He has to be perfect, and his representation on screen has to be perfect. And he agreed to it because he wanted that to be represented on screen. That's a whole thing in film history class if you ever go to it. But what was I even saying there? Eddie Murphy. I think Eddie Murphy is a good example of that. Like Denzel Washington, these are actors. Like I like actors are one thing, and you could argue Coming to America is a black movie that uses the black experience and has a mass appeal audience, 100%. So yeah, I think Coming to America is a good example of that. But let's say in the 21st century,
yeah. Well, and Coming to America, like you were saying, like it wasn't even an example of what you were saying. You were saying a black film made for mass audiences. Coming to America to me seemed like it's made specifically for black audiences. And in a way,
I think Coming to America was made for black audiences, and then white people loved it too. And then they're like, "Oh, we're making
right." It just caught fire. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah, I think that's how I would explain. Friday is like that too. Although Friday is still more like niche, maybe more like way more black people like Friday than white people, but a lot of white people like Friday too. But yeah, as far as film go, Black Panther's kind of a weird one too because when I think of like, is it made with black people in mind? That, hey, this is the audience we're going for here, because it's kind of tricky, because just because it's about the black experience doesn't mean that's how it's going to be marketed. Like, Goodfellas wasn't made for Italians, but it's all about Italian culture and everything like that, so it's kind of tricky. But Get Out definitely
made for the mass audience, but it's about the black experience that is a big. Get Out is the thing that was like, oh guys, this is a money making combination, and it's very funny because it critiques the exact white liberal that like is spending their money to watch this movie and making this a big hit. Like, it is incredibly critical of that specific demographic that made the movie such a big hit. I find that to be very interesting.
Oh, Colby wrote Spike Lee is the black for black. Malcolm X might be one. I think that I put that in the. I don't know. That one's kind of tricky. Like Malcolm X might be in the
Malcolm X is not for mass audiences though. Like Malcolm X is a Oscar bait biopic. It is not intended for mass consumption in the way that Get Out or Black Panther are.
Yeah. Fair enough. But okay. All right.
So yeah, no. Anything else you want to say specifically about the movie? Because there are quite a few notes. Do you think it still holds up? Like, do you think the message of this movie still holds up today?
In a weird way. See, what did I write here about that? So what I wrote, I think it holds up in a different way than it would have originally intended. But what jumped out to me more than it did when I first watched it was how I was critiquing the absurdity that a rich white person would want to be like any black person, honestly. But I did think a lot about how a good deal, I think, of the anger, the response that's from white conservatives from Obama, because Obama is kind of like the perfect representation of what that audience would have liked, right? The city voted for him 3 times and everything like that. Is that not necessarily black bodies, like, which is one thing, but the usurpation of black culture in general, like dating back generations and everything, back to, Elvis. Like, they want someone who sounds and performs like a black person, but isn't actually a black person. And the loss of white or the non-existence of a white culture, and how they're trying to supplant it with something else, and that's what's been going on for hundreds of years now in the United States of America. And this is another thing I Carol saying this, that when people say that white people have no culture, that's another term that people could misunderstand, because of course there are tons of long cultural traditions and lineages and celebrations and holidays that are associated with people who we would call white. That it's not a monolith. It's not something that exists. And that unfortunately in the United States, like the mass immigration and everything for all of these years has been great and everything, but with turning white people against black people for so long. And like you don't have to go far back in time before Italians aren't considered white. Irish people aren't considered white. I mean, it's just like down the line. You had white people who were just bitterly racist against other white people. Like the concept of one giant white race that encompassed all of Europe was not a thing. It was shockingly recent that once people in the late 1800s and early 1900s, like white immigrants and former black slaves and descendants of slaves, realized that they had a lot more in common with each other than they did with anyone of the ruling class. That's honestly when it started happening. So, okay, we'll give you a deal. You're white now. So congratulations, you're in the club. You're a white person now. The real problem is the black people, which is why we don't have as strong a social safety net in the United States as they do in Europe. Like in Europe, there's just not that many black people, so it was harder to turn people against each other with a convenient enemy. And so, with the loss of, you're no longer Italian now. You're not an Italian American anymore. You're white now. You're not an Irish American. You're white now. All that stuff is gone. It's evaporated. You could still celebrate if you want, but those ethnic enclaves have kind of disappeared in being supplanted by being white, which is not a thing. Like if you went back 2,000 years and told a Roman soldier you're white, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? I'm white and a German is white and a British person white? This is absurd. So, taking over with black culture, that is something that happens all the time. And it happens to this very day. That is something, I don't know if that was intentional, but it's something that I picked up on.
Oh, it's TJ. If it wasn't intentional, that's a very, very lucky play there by Jordan Peele. Because no, I think that's very intentional in the film. The because it's not just the body; it's also the culture. It's the everything. And I actually think that serves my point earlier. Not that I need convincing on this. I'm 100% correct. But that juxtaposition right in the beginning of going from the abduction of the black man in the suburb to the black and white photos of impoverished black neighborhoods and what life is like there, to the rich apartment of Chris, having those photos hung up with, and him taking those photos, he is also utilizing black bodies and selling them to white people to make a profit. And Jordan Peele is doing the same thing by making this movie. I'm more impressed now, having talked this through with the movie, than I was even when I watched it, because I feel like that is such an interesting meta narrative in the film of what Jordan Peele is saying about himself. I can't imagine he's not highly critiquing himself. The more I think about, the more we talk about this, I do think that Chris is a director surrogate character whom the director is incredibly critical of. And you could say a lot of things about, the inward black hatred based off of that. Like that, there was a lot of building blocks off of that. I don't even have a well-written statement about that. It's just a very interesting lens to view the film from.
That's good. That's good. I like that. I think that's an excellent observation. Are we going to grade the movie, or do we get away from that? I thought we said, I remember us talking about how difficult that's actually been to settle on a good grading scale on this.
Oh, we are going to grade the movie. In fact, TJ, I created a report card.
Let's go.
And I'm very excited about this. This is now the official the Left Wing Film Club report card. So we'll
while John's pulling that up, I was going to say, it's too bad you pulled this up, because I see Heather is on right now. I was going to show that, Heather, you missed the beginning of the show if you're still here, but John was playing that video I did with you in the Elsa costume. That has been playing backstage the entire show. Jon never got rid of it. It was still just like you guys couldn't see it, but I could see it the whole time. I was like, hey, Jon's just mocking me with this entire thing. I was gonna pull it up again.
I didn't realize that was the case until like 30 seconds ago when I went to the pre-share. I was like, oh, that's really funny. Okay, yeah, Heather, definitely watch the beginning of the show again. Okay, so this is our left wing report card, and same sort of stuff that we had before. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 categories here. I've changed up this time. We're both going to rate each category, and then the overall is going to be the official score between the two of us. That is going to be an average value between the two. Because before we were kind of just you get this one, I get this one. So I think that'll be the way we do it, and then we can make one of these for every single film, and we can keep a solid record of this. So for those of you who don't know, who haven't seen the past 2 Left Wing Film Club episodes, which we did on Sinners and Superman, we rate the films by category on a F to A. Actually, we do include S's in this. I think we just haven't given out an S yet. But we grade them on that scale, and then we'll give a overall final letter grade. So first up, TJ, visuals. How this movie looked, the cinematography, the editing, the lighting, all of it. What do you give this film?
I feel like giving the cinematography a B+. Because or the visuals a B+, because when I think of Get Out, the parts that jump at me the most with what I enjoyed watching were how cool they did the sunken place scenes, and the editing was like I don't know, not better than your average an above average horror film or something like that. So I'm going with the B+. How about you?
So it is interesting. The sunken place is something that like is a cultural artifact. Like, yeah, that became a thing that grew outside the movie. Like the sunken place became a thing people talked about even outside the context of the film. However, looking back at it, it works. It's cool. It's interesting. I think it's going to come back to it. It's like, am I rating the visuals as a movie or a horror movie? Because like, I think the visuals overall aren't very good for a horror movie, but if I'm just rating visually how this movie looks, I think the lighting is particularly good in a lot of shots, especially for a first-time director who isn't known for like cinematography, like he's a comedian. I thought it was really good. I would give it a B- just because while it was solid, a lot of good things, there's nothing that really blew me away visually. There's nothing that made me go, ooh, that was cool. Like, oh, that was good. So I would give it a B-. So what did you say you give it a B+?
B+, and B-. So
all right, so you give it a B+, and that puts our overall letter grade at a B. See, this is a way more visual. All right, okay, sounds, TJ. Sounds. You go first with music, the sound effects, all of it. What do you go with?
Well, you should go first with sound. We should alternate on this one.
Okay, that's a good point. I was just saying that because I was writing at the time. Okay, so yeah, so sounds. The movie, I feel like it's a miss. I feel like it's overall not a big miss, but they have a really good song at the beginning of it. Redbone, I think it was, from Childish Gambino.
Love that song.
And then what was that?
I love that song.
It's a great song. It's a fantastic song. I really hate that album because I liked the old Childish Gambino and I want him back. But that song, fucking fantastic. There's no other good songs the rest of the movie. The soundtrack is just fine. They do a lot of those, we're going to do a jump scare and have this really quick, loud, scary sound, which I just find to be very cheap. And while it can be done well sometimes, that's like the entire scare factor of the movie. So I would give the sounds a C+ because I think they're on the negative side of things, but I don't think they're bad.
Yeah, that's that's funny. I want to get your opinion first on that, especially because I was going to give it a C. That's getting mine at first. And I wanted to clarify that the C isn't because I think it's bad. I just, the there weren't any moments where I was like, wow, that mixing is incredible. That really gave me something that I didn't expect, or I didn't see something new. And that's not a slam on Jordan Peele or anything like that. It's just that it's just kind of I don't know. It's kind of like how saying something is mid is an insult. Now, like, no, not really. It just means it's average. It means it's perfectly acceptable. It's perfectly fine, but doesn't. So this one's so you said C minus and I said C, right? Or C plus?
No. I said C plus. You said C minus. Is that your official?
No, I said C. But
C,
that's why this is actually kind of tricky now. What? So do we round up or round down?
So in this situation, I think we put it at a C. Because
Okay.
I generally I think that we're both leaning. You're definitely not at the high end of C, and I'm not at the high end of C plus. Like we'll go with C here. And I don't know. We never actually discussed this, but generally how I see letter grades is anything that is a C, you're in the bad grades. Like it's a bad grade. Even a C plus, it's a bad grade. A B minus is the minimum acceptable good grade. And that is how I kind of like the average is between those two, and it doesn't exist. And that's kind of how I do. Do you view it the same way?
All right, I like it. I don't know. C isn't a grade that I would want to get, but it's still passing. It's all right.
It's not egregiously bad. I'm not like, oh, you suck because you got a C in sounds, but you have room for improvement. You have room for improvement.
Not happy. You're not happy bringing that report card home to mom and dad. Yeah, like
exactly. You're not gonna get grounded for it, but you're not happy about it. Like that's where the C is, right? Okay, so then performances. TJ, what do you think?
Performances is the toughest one because I hesitate to say there are any bad ones, but also not a whole lot that blow me away. But I'm gonna give it a B, and I'm thinking B plus, but I think I'm gonna go with B. And it's strongly carried by who played. I can't remember the actress who plays Rose. She did a great job. But yeah, I'm going with B. What about you, John?
The actress who played Rose was named, and she did a great job. You're right. Her name was something. It was a name. That's Allison Williams. Was Rose. She's also in the Megan series. She's in Girls. But yeah, I haven't seen too much of her. I think this is a weird movie to rate in terms of performances because just about everyone gives a B plus performance. Like there is not a bad performance in this movie.
Yeah.
There is not an outstanding performance in this movie.
Yeah.
It is just B plus all across the board. And I do think we see here's the problem when we rate these things in comparison. Maybe we'll do some like retrospectives in the future. Because like we gave Superman a B plus. And Superman had better performances than this movie. Like it had better standouts. And I hate to give them both B pluses, but I was very impressed. Every single performance from the main character, what's his name? Daniel Kaluuya. Is that his name?
Oh, he's good. Yeah, he's good. He's good in a lot of stuff.
He gives a very subtle, very interesting performance. I thought the brother was just magnetic. Like he's someone who had a small amount of screen time and made sure to chew the shit out of the scenery every single time. Everything that the dad is in, I absolutely love him. Bradley Whitford, he's fantastic. He's fantastic in everything he did. Rod, very funny comedic character. We mentioned Andre Lakeith Stanfield. I love him. The mom also great. Like so many great, like not great, but very very good performances.
Solid. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to give it a play. Like if there was one bad performance, I would give it a B. But because they're just all across the board B plus performances, I kind of got to give it a B plus. So what did you give it?
I gave it a B.
Okay, you gave it a B. You gave it a B plus. So are you leaning more towards B or B like for this?
I'm leaning more towards B. I think, but
I'm fine with leaning towards B on that as well because I don't love giving it a B. I feel like it doesn't deserve a B plus because again, there is not a standout performance. But there's not a single performance that I would put below a B plus. So
yeah,
there you go. You just get the average, but yeah, we're at a B there. Okay, writing. and I guess I start. No,
You're up. Yeah.
yes, I start here. So writing, it's weird. As I said, it's the opposite of Sinners, where I feel like the text is broken and the subtext really blew me away. So I'm cool with giving this an A-, honestly. Like, I think that the dialogue is incredibly efficient. I think that the messaging, like the things that it's saying behind the scenes of the writing, very good. But also, like, if it had a realistic, like a functional forward-facing plot that wasn't fooled with massive holes, it would be an A plus. I'm giving it an A. I wish I could give it something between a B plus and an A-, but I'm going to give it an A-. Memorable lines, like memorable scenes, like Sunken Place in and of itself as a message, as just a label for a thing, transcends the movie. I struggle to give it anything less than an A-, but it has massive fucking holes. So it's really it's tough to grade for the opposite reason of the performances.
Yeah, I think this is the hardest one for me because my initial response was A, mainly because when you have a movie that, I mean, granted, it's only been 8 years, but this thing has cultural staying power. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. Like, you struck a nerve. Like, you hit a chord with the writing here and the story and, like, the lines and its reference and everything. When you just saying Get Out, people think of the movie right away in a good way, right? Not like Sharknado or something. So I started out talking about how I was kind of bothered by the setup with the black body stuff, everything like that. But I agree. A- is a fair grade on this. I think that putting it in the B's is a little disrespectful to how powerful and how poignant the film was. So I'm agreeing with John here. A-.
All right. And then political message. What would you give this?
Okay. How are we grading political message? As in, like, the author's intent, or if we agree with the politics?
So it is the political, like, do we agree with the political? Because, like, does the author successfully deliver the message? That's writing. Is the message politically good? That's the political message.
Hard to give it anything other than an A on this one for me. I think for what he was trying to say, and even with the subtleties of the interracial couple and the friend who's telling you, I really like, I guess that's not politics, but Rod is like kind of like our surrogate, like Rod's yelling at the screen. I kind of enjoyed that. Maybe there's a writing one, but the politics involved, I don't have a whole lot of complaints with it. So yeah, I'm gonna go with an A on that, especially like specifically for what we talked about earlier, that it came at it from an angle that these are the effete white liberals who you're supposed to view in high regard, and how they can stab you in the back too. That's not done nearly as often. So yeah, I'm gonna give it an A.
My only question to you is, why not an A plus? Like, I really feel like this is an A plus political message movie. I like finding flaws, and I find basically zero flaws in the political messaging of this movie. I think it's done both overtly and subtly. I think that it is tied directly to the themes of the plot. I think that it speaks to very important political issues. I think that 8 years later, it still fucking holds up. And in fact, I'm even more impressed by the messaging now than I was then, for the specific reason of I relate to it more now. But I think that this is a situation where I'm like, yeah, this is an A plus. This is like, if you are hitting all of your marks and doing a great job at it, you're getting an A plus. I don't think it's an S. Like, this movie doesn't like make me blow me away. Like I think that's what like S is reserved for. Is like, you are blown the fuck away.
All right.
This is a seminal movie in your movie history that changed your perspective on how this can be done. I don't think that's here, but I think in terms of, is everything executed to an incredibly high level in terms of the political message? Yes, A plus.
All right, so I forgot about S because I had the same thought. I said, I think this was amazing. It was great. Was it something that I was like, wow, I've
Was it
got
the
it.
absolute
No,
top tier? No, it was not. So would
no,
you like to
So, all
revise
right,
to an A
if
plus?
there's an S tier, yes, we'll give it an A plus. Okay, fine.
S tier is reserved for like there are movies that I would give things S tiers on, and this doesn't deserve any of them. Maybe we'll have conversations in the future about what S are, but those are like they're special. We can't get, they are rare.
Yeah.
They can only be given out when something is truly fucking special. And the
Yeah.
political messaging, wow, as I said, no flaws. Well, very well executed. At the time, it was definitely new. But even looking back now, like I don't think it blew the lid off of anything for me. So I'm going with an A plus.
I was kind of giving like, you ever heard with sports that if someone is a Hall of Famer, that if you have to debate if they're a Hall of Famer, they're not a Hall of Famer. That's cool. It's catchy. It's not true. There's a billion Hall of Famers you've never heard of, and so I always thought it was kind of flawed. But that's how I'm putting like the top tier. It's like if I have to debate if it's the absolute pinnacle, then no, it's a step below. Still great. Still belongs in the Hall, but it doesn't reach that title. That top of the pyramid.
Yeah, Conservatory of the Ozarks says this is making me want to watch the movie again because I can't remember much about it. I don't know. My wife watched it with me last night, so I don't know.
She did. Wow,
She
John.
Let you better. I don't know.
Wow.
The entertainment value. TJ, what do you got here?
I think you're first. Oh no, wait. Yeah, you're first.
Oh no, I am first. So I've been singing praises about this movie and like the message, because like I like sitting down, watching it, digesting it. I have found it to be pretty darn good. The entertainment value while watching it, unfortunately, hasn't changed much in my mind since the first viewing. I'm less let down by it because the hype and expecting a horror movie isn't there. But even just watching it as a thriller or watching it however it is, it's good. It's solid. I'd give it a B plus, but I struggle. In fact, I actually give it a B. I struggle to be like this. There's no comparison I can make to other movies that I enjoyed to the level of Get Out that I think deserves anything more than a B. And like I just, it's good. It's solid. It's a good time. But I'm not like on the edge of my seat at any point in the movie.
Okay. All right. I don't know what to say first, but okay. So
you're allowed to. I think this might be the one where you have the biggest disagreement on.
No,
and that's
we
fine.
We don't.
Oh, okay, interesting. Okay.
I was talking about something else. I'll just go ahead and say. So you mentioned how you watched the movie with your wife. Heather commented, "Well, I'm not TJ's wife, so he has to watch his own movies, I guess." Wow, thanks, John. Thanks for throwing me on the bus like that. Now I. But so anyway, what I was going to say, I love you, baby, just so you know. But anyway, the plus. I was going to say B minus on this one because it sounds bad to say, but just because when I think entertainment value, I think you're thinking the same thing. I'm thinking rewatchability. That, wow, this movie is fun to watch right now, and I can't wait. So we were talking about how to categorize this film, and it doesn't fit neatly into the horror, and we were thinking more suspense. But the thing is, most suspense films I love watching over and over again. I was like, this is great. This is fun. I love, it's a thriller. I know it's going to get the blood pressure up. I know what's going to happen, but it's fun to watch either way. Like The Shining is more thriller. It's both. It's thriller and horror. It's definitely horror. But I can watch The Shining any day. So this movie, now then again, it's not, there's also great, just because it has low rewatchability doesn't mean it's not great. $1 Million Baby was an excellent film. I am never watching it again. The Passion of Christ. It was very well. I like that a lot. No chance I'm watching that again. So it's not a slight on that it's a bad film. It's just that the entertainment value doesn't reach the rewatchability stage. So I'm going B minus. Like I don't mind watching it, but I can't see myself sitting around. I was like, man, I'm gonna pop in Get Out and check that movie out again. So I'm going B minus.
Yeah, and I'm fine with leaning the overall grade towards that being a minus because like it's just like it's upsetting how much more I appreciate the film now without finding the film to be any more entertaining than the first time I watched it. Like it's weird because I'm someone who appreciates the messaging, the subtext, the writing, all of that, and I really like it. Like we're getting A pluses on the political message, and I'm giving it just B minus, B for entertainment value. Yeah, like I might. You know what? You've convinced me. I'm moving that to B minus.
You're changing your grade to B minus.
Yeah, I might have hedged my bet, assuming that I might get shit on for that.
But no pushback. No.
Say that he also thinks this. I feel more comfortable with a B minus. Overall grade, TJ. We got an interesting board here. I don't think we've given A plus in any category thus far, and we both gave an A plus for political messaging. However, that's the only A category. All right. Oh, writing got an A minus. But then we got C. This is an interesting one. Where would you put?
So we got an A plus.
I know exactly what my answer is. I know what it is, but I'm interested to hear what you said.
Oh yeah, I was trying to just work through our grades here, see what we got. So we got an A plus and an A minus that gives us an A and a B that gives us a B plus, B plus and a B minus that gives us a B, B and a C, C plus and C plus and a B, B minus. Wow, damn it, we were trying to avoid B minus too, I think, because that's what we gave. I think maybe 2 movies in a row. I don't think this is a B minus movie. I think it's a B. I think it is and I hate saying B. That doesn't seem right for Get Out. But damn. What was your
so mine do? Also I was locked in on B and here's
locked in on B. Okay, all right. It doesn't sound right, but that's what we got.
As much as I appreciate so much of the film, if you have a B minus entertainment, like entertainment value, I think to both of us is the most important category in a film. So it's hard to have, we're both in agreement on B minus entertainment value, and to have it much higher than a B. You'd have to really nail some other things to get to a B plus, and it's never going to get to an A. I think that if you like race swapped the world and you made this like, if this wasn't a poignant movie because it is so unique in what we talked about, it being a Black auteur, Black movie for mass audiences, and one of the first ones, it would have been relatively unremarkable. And it's only a huge hit and success and beloved because there's so little like it in film. But that doesn't mean that the reasons that there's so little like it is because it executes anything on such a high level. It's just because no one else makes movies like, or made movies like this very often or very frequently, and so it stood out. So yeah, that's why I'm like, it's a B. It's a B movie. Yeah, solid. You enjoy it. You might even watch it again, but I'm not putting it in my pantheon of films in any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, very, very important, but doesn't reach the top of Mount Olympus or anything like that.
Any notes we want to put here? Because there was a notes section on this template that I remade, and I thought it might be convenient to keep there. Maybe it isn't. But any particular notes you want to, last words you want to leave on this film?
I wrote in my notes that this would be a great Twilight Zone episode, or a good concept for a Twilight Zone episode. This is right up the alley with the twist and like weird quasi supernatural elements on this. What else did I write here that I didn't mention? He didn't kill any white people. We're fascinated by black culture. White people want to be Black. American people want white. Oh no, I think that's it. That's the last one I had.
That's fine. I'm fine with that being our note, because that is, not only is it perfect because you are 100% correct about that, but it's also perfect because Jordan Peele ended up being the showrunner for the Twilight Zone remake. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah. No, I didn't know that. That's
yeah. So like Paramount Plus or some shit did a Twilight Zone series, and Jordan Peele was the showrunner behind it. And I think that this is a move. This could easily be a Twilight Zone episode, but made into a movie. I think you absolutely nailed that. And like Twilight Zone, B, solid B. It has some real highs, but like there's no Twilight Zone episode where I'm ever like, yeah, that changed my world.
Are you talking about the remake or both?
All of them. I like the Twilight Zone. Don't get me wrong, but I find it to be pretty good at best. Nothing that ever rewrites my and never put it in the pantheon of my favorite TV shows. Even one episode of it, I'm always like,
oh, okay, yeah. I was going to argue with you because I love the Twilight Zone, but it's not Breaking Bad. Okay, all right. So okay, all right.
It's popcorn. It's B. Sci-fi. It is meant for. It's pulpy. It's supposed to be like that. So I think we nailed this. Thank you guys for watching. This has been. I think this was our best Left Wing.
I do too. I think it was great
by a large margin. Let us know if you disagree, but I don't think you will. I thought that we structured the grading perfectly. I think we hit all the topics. Any last words on Get Out, TJ?
Well, no last words on Get Out, but I saw a comment I was looking for. I couldn't find it. I'll keep it, but I appreciate you opening this can of worms, John. Like everyone's dunking on me now. Bobby says favorite movie to watch with your not wife, and Huge Ass thinks it's funny here. But someone commented. They asked what the Left Wing would go as during Halloween, if we would go as Superman, and then someone commented we should go as the Justice Gang. I thought that was whoever said that was pretty funny.
Like if we had a couple's Halloween costume, what would it be?
That would be that's so funny.
Oh, that's really funny.
The Justice Gang is so funny. I love that so much. And I want to say that I found is it here? John and I were together in person in good old San Diego for John's wedding. I want to play this out. And I got to say, John, you had that shit on, man. Like that white tux, god damn, that looked good. I love it so much. So proof that we actually have that in person. We will again in the future, but we did at least once.
Now you look great too in the hey, I'm a college professor outfit. No, I thought you look good too as one of the 3 black people at the wedding. You definitely
John does have, as he mentioned, he does have black friends.
So okay, thank you guys for being here. TJ, I was thinking with Weapons out on streaming now, would you want to do that next week?
Next Tuesday? Yeah, I can. Maybe I'll have to see how it works. I think I'll be able, but I don't know if I can watch it in time because maybe week after. Maybe week after. I can't guarantee.
I do think Weapons is going to be on there because I will be watching it. I think it's very poignant right now, and it's supposed to have political messages. That's so I've heard.
Also, someone get you recommendation for a show to do. What was earlier in the show, like a top
like the things you'd be surprised are extremely racist.
That's it. That's great. I love that. I love that. All right, let's get out of here before I get piled on some more. Not wife, that's me. Okay. All right. We gotta
we will not be here Thursday for a normal show. We will be back Tuesday, 6:35 EST. Until then, see you later.
Later, folks. God, that was great.